Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps and Jerel Hendricks here for part 2 of our 2024 Coaching Carousel show. We're going to cover the 2A ranks, the 1A ranks, and all of SCISA today. Boys, there's not quite as many here in this class on these classifications, but still there were some big name hires we definitely want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the same things where some coaches coming from out of state, coming to South Carolina.
Yeah.
No, I think the biggest thing for me is just seeing guys get opportunities. It seems like we got, a lot of guys that don't have previous head coaching experience, getting these positions. And I think it's going to be great for these programs.
Yeah, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We will have our preview show starting up right around the corner on Tuesday nights during the season. We'll do a recap show on the weekends as well. Lots of great interviews coming between now and then as well. So definitely tune in to our social pages and our website to keep up to date with everything we've got going on. But, John, if you want to go ahead, we'll get rolling here in the 2A ranks, and we'll talk through these coaches and then move on down to 1A.
Yeah, don't blink with 2A because there are not many. We only have 3 head coaching jobs that changed hands for 2A. We'll start. 2 of them are in Chesterfield County. We'll start there with Central High School. Shane Griffin, the former head coach at Central, he's going to be replaced by Jonathan Eason, who was formerly head coach across town at Chesterfield.
Yeah, I think that's a good one there to have Coach Eason, go across. Familiarity, obviously, with the county there. Did not obviously end his tenure at Chesterfield the way he wanted to, them going 2-8 last year. But hopefully he can inject some new blood, new life there. He's an alum of the school, so that's always cool. We always talk about that last few years when we do these coaching carousel shows, seeing these guys get an opportunity, at their, former high school, somewhere that they played, somewhere they're familiar with, and just got to hope that the community embraces him as he goes forward.
Yeah, I think he had been at Chesterfield for the past 4 seasons there. Didn't have the level of success that he probably wanted to, but has a chance to go back home, which is always huge. And I think before Chesterfield, he was at Spartanburg for a little bit, so he's had some big-time experience there, I think, under Chris Miller and then those guys there with the Vikings. So he definitely knows what a winning program is supposed to look like. Anytime you get to go home and coach your alma mater, that's pretty cool. So I think that's going to go really well for him there. Central program that it kind of needed needed some juice, needed a jolt. They've had some down years lately, and who better to turn them around than a guy who grew up there and played there and knows what it's like to see them win ball games like they used to do.
Yeah, staying with Chesterfield, with the departure of Coach Eason, Matt Quinn will step in as the head coach for Chesterfield. Now, he has prior head coaching experience at North Augusta, but most recently served as the athletic director at Marlboro County.
Yeah, we actually had a chance to talk to Coach Quinn about a week or so ago, a guy that is really bright, really gets it, really studies the game of football, really loves it. You mentioned he's coached at North Augusta as a head coach, Westwood as a head coach, Union Pines, North Carolina as a head coach, a guy with a lot of experience, played at Burns under Bobby Bentley, played at Vanderbilt, played under Bobby Bentley at PC as well. So he's been around some really big-time football. A Chesterfield program that, same thing as Central, kind of needs a shot in the arm. They won 3 straight state titles under Steve Tannehill. We know they've got talent. They've got some pretty good tradition there in Chesterfield. The Rams are looking to do big things. I think Coach Quinn, from talking to him as well, Jerel, you may, kind of got the same feel that I did, but I think they've got some pretty good talent. I think they might be able to make some noise this year as well in just year 1 under Coach Quinn.
Yeah, I think so. And what a coup, man, to get Coach Quinn kind of fall in your lap there at Chesterfield. He spent some time, away from the game this past season, relocated, towards that area. And that's how he ended up at the Marlboro County job before, matriculating here to Chesterfield. But just a wealth of knowledge. And he spent a lot of time at bigger schools coaching. And then obviously his playing career. He played at Burns. I think they won more state championship games than they lost his tenure in high school.
Won 4 state titles, lost 2 games, I believe, something like that. Just unreal. Just unreal.
Yeah, when Bobby Bentley had Burns rolling back in the day. So, he just knows how to win. He's proven to do things at a high level, and that's going to be cool too for him to kind of take that year away from the game. He mentioned he did a lot of studying, just getting ready. It's definitely been an adjustment for him, going from those larger programs to Chesterfield. But man, I can't think of a bigger hire as we go through 1 and 2A than Matt Quinn ending up at Chesterfield.
And then we go over to Chesney. Clay Lewis, the former head coach at Chesney, had a solid year last year. He will be replaced by Brett Chappell, who comes over state lines from Pisgah High School over in North Carolina. See if he can take Chesney, that's had a decent year last year, taking to the next level now.
For sure. I think this is another good one here. Obviously, I think the theme, like we said last show, is you got quality over quantity here. And I think Coach Chappell, going to the Chesney program really helps them out. I don't think Coach Lewis did a bad job there because they were a very stable program. Last year they had a little bit of turmoil in the community, and definitely hope that they've been able to recover from that. But, you get a proven winner coming across the line. Obviously, Chesney not that far from that state line, so he's not traveling too far there. But I think this is going to be a good situation there at Chesney.
I think it's a fantastic hire. You mentioned Coach Lewis. He decided to retire after last year, so just taking a step back there. Coach Chappell knows how to win football games. You look at just last year at Pisgah, went 9-3. Before Pisgah, he was at East Henderson High School. In 19 years as a head coach, won 161 games, 9 conference titles. I mean, that's really impressive. I will say I'm not as familiar with North Carolina, so I'm not sure what level East Henderson and what level Pisgah is. But I mean, he's been proven that he can be a winner there. Going to a 2A program in Chesney, I think he could see a lot of success as well. I mean, that's a guy that, football is football, to take a quote from Matt Quinn we talked to last week. Football is football, no matter what state you're playing it in, what level you're playing it in. He knows how to win. This is a really interesting hire for Chesney, a really solid hire, I think, for those guys. And that's an intriguing one to see what he can do over there. And I think they're Spartanburg County, I believe. So interesting to see what he can do there at Chesney.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's Spartanburg
right
County.
on the line.
It could be Cherokee.
I know Blacksburg's Cherokee, so I think Chesney is Spartanburg, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I think you're right. All right, we'll jump down to 1A now. We'll start with Denmark Olar. Jarvis Littlejohn, the former head coach, he's going to be replaced by assistant on the staff in William Razor. He will be the new head coach for Denmark Olar, a program that has some flashes of brilliance this past year.
Yeah, had a couple of really big wins there. Coach Littlejohn leaves to take over as the DC for Coach Bulwer at Lugolf Elgin. A nice step for him in his career there. Coach Razor was the defensive line coach or an assistant there at Denmark Olar already. A program that, like a lot of these 1A schools, has some really, really good athletes here and there. It's just, can you keep them on the field? Can you keep them healthy? And do you have enough of those depth-wise to really make a run? I believe, was it last year they knocked off Bamberg? Maybe 2 years ago they knocked off Bamberg, had a really big win early in the year, kind of fell off after that. But interesting to see what he can do there. Having a guy that was already on staff, I think, is a good move. He knows the community. He knows the players. I like that hire there. That's a team to look out for in 1A. I think they make some really good noise this year as well.
This is a cool one for me. I like these win-win type situations when you have coaches, either leaving and coming and going, so to speak. With Coach Littlejohn, obviously making a huge jump to go to Lugolf Elgin to be the DC there. I think that's a good win for him in the trajectory of his career, and it speaks to the success that he had at this program. And then obviously with Coach Razor being on staff here already, getting the opportunity to stay there, got continuity with the staff and the players there and that community. So it's great for him to get that opportunity to lead his own program, put his stamp on it. And again, this is a team that they've flirted with greatness the last couple of years. Can they take that next step? And I think this is a good hire as well.
Moving on to not the upstate, but the 803 area, where we go to Great Falls. Brian Kane, former head coach for Great Falls, being replaced by a name that a lot of you will know, Savell Newton, former Gamecock quarterback, early 2000s under Lou Holtz. So really exciting hire for Great Falls State. Savell Newton is head coach.
Boys, these are the type of hires that lets me know that we're getting older. Savell Newton being the head coach, leading programs, and now coach, these players that we grew up watching, whether it be in high school or in college, now leading programs. Obviously the name recognition is huge here. The ability to connect to players is going to be awesome when you have a player of Savell's caliber now getting into the coaching profession. Who better to lead men than someone who's actually done it before? And honestly, I'll say this, and I want it to be interpreted positively. When you have these lower schools, the hardest thing is recruiting your own hallways. Getting as many guys, from the basketball gym, from the baseball field, to come out to play football, then who's a better, recruiter of your own school than someone like Savell Newton? Like, I'm going to go play for that guy. So I think it's a great hire. It's a good opportunity for his coaching career. And I'm really excited to see what he can do in leading his own program.
That's a great point, Jerel, because I believe it was last year that Great Falls actually had to cancel a game or two late in the year because they didn't have enough players. So that's certainly a great point about getting guys out there. And I want to say, I hope he can bring just some continuity to that community and to that team. I think Coach Kane was in his first year last year, so he didn't last very long. So this is a program that needs some continuity, needs some, a guy who wants to win and wants to be there. I think Coach Newton wants to do that. He also coached at Keenan, Brooklyn Casey, and I think at South Carolina as well as maybe a GA or some kind of assistant there. And, we know that he'll be able to relate to these kids. I mean, he is a guy who's not that old. I mean, he's probably mid-30s now. I mean,
yeah.
And these kids, all you gotta do is a quick YouTube search. Like this guy could play. Like, they're gonna respect him.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to watch him. Like, learn from him. Like, I think he's gonna do a really good job there. I've seen he's been very outspoken on Twitter, on social media, which I think is kind of what you need this day and age, because that's what these kids are, Mike. Like, they want to see what your program is doing, what your program's all about. And you mentioned Jerel, beating the hallways. Well, I think I saw a couple of videos earlier this summer where he had found a kicker out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was bombing like 45 plus yarders like right away. I think he was a soccer player or something like that. So that's awesome to have that happening. But he's a coach we haven't had a chance to talk to yet. I hope we get to hear sometime in the near future. But really excited for that program. I don't know what to expect as far as how deep or how much of a run they can make this year. I just don't know enough about what they've got athlete wise and player wise. But for Great Falls, I mean, I love that hire. That's a big time hire there with getting Savell Newton there to be the head coach.
Yeah, I think success in year one is getting kids to come out. Number one, and just showing some improvement, putting a little bit excitement in the program, getting guys wanting to play, wanting to be a part of the program. So exciting hire there. It'll be fun to watch that play out this year and over the coming years. Going down to Hemingway now, Byron Abram, former head coach. He's going to be replaced by the Marion defensive coordinator, Mike Donald.
This is a program. It's hard to find the right words. Like they need help. I hope Coach Donald can do it. Last year scored points in 2 games. Had 6 in 1 game and 8 in 1 game, I believe it was. This program, they need something, man. And I don't know if it's Coach Donald, if it's, something. I don't really know what you do. I mean, it's hard to find. It's hard to find, a reason for these kids to want to play football when you get beat like that, because you're not even being competitive, honestly, the last couple of years. So you hope that he can. You mentioned Coach Newton beating the hallways. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to get some kids to come out and play at Hemingway, a school that has been a premier basketball school in the past for sure. So we know they've got some talent there if you can get them out on the football field and kind of get them to, want to put the pads on for him. But that's a uphill move there for Coach Donald. Uphill battle for sure. Hope he can pull it off. A guy that's been around some good football players. You mentioned, becoming from Marion, a lot of D1 guys last couple of years there. TJ Sanders, Quashid Scott, Tyshawn Sanders, Gabe Cusack as well. A lot of guys who moved to the next level. So he's been around some athletes, been around some talent. Hopefully he can find something there at Hemingway to help them get back to being competitive, I guess, in the 1A ranks.
Yeah, it's just like you said, uphill battle. I mean, it is what it is. This state has done a great job of it growing, and we have so many people moving here and things like that. But a lot of people, it mimics a lot of what the country's experiencing. A lot of people are trying to go to these urban areas. So while we see the bigger places in the state grow up, these 1A, 2A schools, a lot of the times are a byproduct of people, our generation and younger who are starting to leave these communities. And that's how they're being affected, by low numbers and then low participation. So it's like you said, it's an uphill battle. I think this is a program where, you don't know what to do, but you just hope that they improve. You hope the kids just have fun playing football, worst case scenario. And, if you go to a game down there, at least go get some barbecue, right?
I think that's a big, Jerel, you say that about, kids having fun. I think that's a big thing for a lot of the 1A programs where, you're struggling to get kids. You gotta make football fun. There's gotta be a reason to go out there. And, I know a lot of people don't like moral victories and that kind of thing, but hey, you gotta start somewhere, at least have fun and try to grow from grow from that, grow where you can. We'll jump to Scotch Branch since we just mentioned them. Randall State, former head coach there at Scotch Branch. Patrick Fleming is going to be their new head coach, coming from Manning, assistant coach over there at Manning. So he's not going far to take over the Scotch Branch program. What do you guys know about what Coach Fleming can do and what we can see out of Scotch Branch?
I think it's similar. I mean, we'll just keep it the same. I mean, it's the same things. You just got to wish Coach Fleming, can rally, the community around him. He can beat the hallways, get participation up, and, get to having fun with these things. Obviously Manning has been a program that has done well. Yeah. So he is not going to be used to, losing in the way that Scotch Branch has. A lot of these communities too, they have athletes. You can pick out athletes. And I feel like it's still the case in high school football where you get in these 1A, 2A. If you have just a couple guys, and you can get some momentum and, make some things happen, it can really, spark the program, spark the team, and you can have a fun season. So hopefully Coach Fleming can do that. And, it's much like Hemingway. We wish the best, for him going forward.
For sure. And that was kind of surprising one there. Coach State, who was there before, has been a really good football coach. And he took Marion to the state title a couple years back. I think it was maybe the COVID year they played Abbeville there for the 2A state title. They lost that game. But he is a guy that knows how to win football games. So it was a bit of a surprise to see them go winless last year. I didn't see that coming. But Coach Fleming, is going to bring in a winning culture coming up from Manning, a program that has had a lot of success lately, it feels like. So hope the best for him, and hopefully he can turn that program around.
Now you talk about a program that has been having a lot of fun the last few years. That's Louisville. Coach Leon Boulware, he's taking his talent over to Lugoff Elgin to see if he can improve that program. And Trent Usher, formerly the Louisville defensive coordinator, steps in. I believe Coach Usher, head coach at Central in the past as well.
Correct. But he'd been the DC at Louisville the past 2 seasons, like you mentioned, also a head coach at Central in the past. This team, went 10-2 last year. They had an earlier playoff exit than they wanted to have for sure, but they won a lot of football games. I think they lost to Oceanside in week 0, who ends up, winning a state title, and you turn around and lose, I think, to St. Joe's there in the playoffs, but you win every game between that. So you had a really good season, just didn't quite make the run you wanted to make. But they've got a lot of talent back. We talked to Coach Bull, where I guess it would have been 3 years ago now, Jerel, when he first got that, when he was rolling his first year at Louisville. He was telling us about how many young kids they had, a bunch of sophomores, a bunch of freshmen. Well, those kids are growing up now, and you got a lot of juniors and seniors on the football team. They're poised for a big run. I know they're kind of figuring out the rotation at quarterback, running back, what they're going to do with those 2 spots. But they got a lot of talent on the line. They're a lot bigger, bigger up front than a lot of 1A schools. They got a lot more depth than a lot of 1A schools as well. I think they're going to make a deep run this year. And this is one where I think it certainly makes sense to hire a guy that's already on staff. He knows the program. Not like they're doing anything wrong. Like they're winning a lot of football games. You keep that continuity there with bringing in Coach Usher. Love this hire for the Lions. I think they're going to do really well this year.
Yeah, grade A hire here with Coach Usher. It was great, catching up with him a few weeks ago as he explained, talked to us about his career and his plans for the future here. Man, a few words, man. He likes to coach football. He's intense, likes to get after it, man. It was a lot of fun. The son of a coach, so it's just in his blood, in his DNA. And he's got a lot of support, not just in Louisville, but around the state. I think that's probably our most viewed episode so far that we've had in the offseason. It's up there as far as Coach Usher's, new coach interview that he did with us. But I'm excited about this team, this program. They've just been itching. They've been on the doorstep. I think last year they probably got caught up a little bit looking ahead, and then, just didn't get it done in the playoffs. Especially trying to get some revenge from a couple years ago. But like you said, these kids have experience. They've grown up in this program. They're accustomed to winning, and they have numbers. I saw some reports, yesterday, the day before, like they still continue to have depth, and that's one of the biggest things that separates in 1A football is having depth up front, and being able, because they got the skill guys to rotate in and out, so they're gonna do a good job. And Coach Usher learned a lot at Central, and I'm sure he's going to, take what he's learned under Coach Boulware and all the other great coaches that he's been around, to keep the thing rolling here at Louisville.
Yeah, to have that head coaching experience already is, I think that's paramount too. So, yeah, expect Louisville to, again, we've said this before, Louisville could have a really big year again. We go down to St. John's. Mike Howard, the former head coach at St. John's. Another Gamecock is stepping in that you may remember. Eric Brown, his last was the Winston-Salem State assistant head coach. So a pretty big leap and awesome get for St. John's to get Eric Brown to come down.
Kind of a surprise, too. I mean, this job was probably the first one open and the last one filled, if I'm not mistaken.
Very weird coaching search for sure.
Yeah, this job was open, felt like, for over 6 months, and we were starting to wonder if it was ever going to get filled. But hopefully the county or whoever stepped in to make this happen. I think that's great that Coach Brown's going to be able to lead this team. Obviously another program that's struggled. Usually if you're on the coaching carousel show, you've had a lot of success or you have not had a lot of success. It's one of the two extremes. But I think this is a great opportunity for him, kind of getting into it late. So I think you have to temper those expectations in year one. But fantastic. And again, I'm feeling old reading off these names, guys.
If you want to feel old, I'll tell you who the OC is. That's former Gamecock Corey Boyd. Back there calling the plays for St. John's this year. So a lot of Gamecock ties on there. I believe I saw the AD is another former Gamecock, Hank Campbell. So a lot of USC ties down there in that area for sure. This is a great hire for St. John's, a program that we don't talk a lot about because they haven't had a lot of success the last couple of years. So we don't come on our radar too much. But to get a guy like Eric Brown to bring in a guy like Corey Boyd, I mean, that is great. And that's similar to the Savell Newton hire, where some of these programs where you've had some really tough times, you almost need to get a name, somebody that people are going to recognize. It's going to get the kids excited about it. And I think this is a good move for them. Really, St. John's, this region that they're in as well, I think they could make some noise. I don't know what they've got coming back, but just when you look at that 1A, Region 5 and 1A, they've got a chance, I think, to get to win some ball games here under Coach Brown right away.
Yeah, and I think we talk about, we're getting old. These guys are still pretty young guys. They're
okay.
Yeah.
There we go, John. Good job.
Now we'll go to the last job here in 1A, and that's Wagner Sally. Willie Fox, the former head coach there. He's going to be replaced by the Camden co-defensive coordinator, Blaze Gillespie. We know how good that defense at Camden has been and all the talent they've had run through there last few years. To me, this seems like a pretty good hire.
Yeah, super exciting. If you're Coach Gillespie, I'm sure he's been looking for the right spot the last couple of years, trying to find the right job. And you have a Wagner Sally job that comes open, a team that was 7-4 last year, a team that's made a lot of deep playoff runs lately. I mean, it seems like a great fit for your first head coaching job. You mentioned Coach Gillespie has been on. He's been the co-DC at Camden the past few years. Prior, he coached at Lee Central and Douglas Byrd in North Carolina. A guy that he means business, man. He's a veteran, so he is all about discipline. Attacking the day, having energy. I mean, he brought a lot of juice when we talked to him earlier this season. That Wagner Sally program has had a lot of athletes, made a lot of deep runs lately. I think he's a great fit for them, a great hire for that program there. A team that hadn't quite made a state title run yet, but had gotten close. I think maybe he's what they need to kind of take them over the top.
Another one, I feel like, we started off 1A with a win-win, and we're going to end it here with another win-win. Coach Fox obviously leaving to go take that job at Swansea and try to resurrect that program. And then, Coach Gillespie coming in with his experience of, winning. And when I think about him and when we were able to talk to him in our series this offseason, is intense, man. He was very intense. I was ready to go, practice or, go run some drills or something like that and talking to him. But, I think he's going to carry that over. He, has that expectation of winning. And I think that's already, set in place there with what Coach Fox was able to do. And I think it's going to be a good thing, too, for them to kind of infuse a little bit of new blood there. Coach Fox had been there for a while, just do something a little bit different. And, again, I think it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Yes, that's our final 1A job. Guys, since we only had 3 and 2A, let's combine 1A and 2A. Maybe what's a favorite hire of yours or a sleeper hire you like the most out of those two classifications?
Oh, man. I'll go first. I'll do it.
Do it.
Favorite? Let's go Savell Newton, man. I love him. Well, I love him taking on that challenge, obviously, Great Falls, again, I forgot about that last year, them having to forfeit, I know, at least one game last year because of the numbers, but him just taking on the challenge of going to Great Falls and, trying to drum up that enthusiasm, with the program, he's going to have a lot of energy. It's his, first head job, I think that's going to be awesome for that community and awesome for him and his coaching career. And a job like this too, in 1A, man, like you got to do everything. You got to learn everything. You got to do everything because you don't have the budget. You don't have the resources, like these bigger programs do. So I think that's going to be a great hire and a great fit for him at Great Falls.
Yeah, I want to stick with the Gamecock trend. I'm gonna go with Eric Brown going to St. John's. Similar reasons. I think the fact that he was such a decorated player at South Carolina, coming from a collegiate program at Winston-Salem State, I think he's going to be able to really inject some excitement in that program as well, and have kids want to play for him. And then not only that, but when they get on the practice field, Coach Brown's going to be a guy, he's played at a high level at college, and now he is coached at a high level in college. He's going to know how to run a program, how to set things up, because he's seen it at a very high level. I think that's one that I'm really looking forward to this year.
I feel like there's a lot. We just talked about Coach Gillespie. I love that hire. Obviously, Coach Usher at Lewis, that's a big one. And I think two of them in 2A that really stuck out to me. The Matt Quinn hire, I think that's a big get for Chesterfield.
Yeah.
And the Brett Chappell hire is one that I think might end up being the best of this group, a guy that has won a lot of football games. It's just Chesney, a program that we don't talk about a lot either, honestly. They're in 2A, one of the smaller schools there in that Spartanburg upstate area. But I think that's a really good hire for those guys there. I like that Coach Chappell hire. Let's give a couple shout-outs here to some friends of the program. Then we'll move on down to the SCISA ranks.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net.
As we kick off with SCISA, we'll start at the 4A ranks with Lawrence Manning. Will First, he is leaving for another head coaching job. We'll get to where he's going later, but he's going to be replaced by Robbie Briggs, who was also formerly a head coach at Lawrence Manning.
Very interesting hire here by the Swamp Cats. Just a good hire, a guy that has won a lot of football games. A team that went 10-3 last year, so they got talent there. He was the LMA head coach from 2013 to 2018. He went 50-24 there, played for the state title in 14 and 17. Prior to going to Lawrence Manning, he was the head coach at Manning, where he went 103-45. So that's a guy who knows how to win football games, kind of got out of the coaching ranks for a while. This is a job that was linked to some big names across the state who have been in the private school and public school ranks. Ended up going with Coach Briggs. I like that hire there. This is a program that is going to win a lot of football games, and it just depends on how far they will go. I think Coach Briggs kind of brings a pedigree of, maybe taking them all the way to state again. I like that hire a lot for the Swamp Cats.
Hey, run it back. Why not? We got all this success. We've done it here before, and why not bring it back? It's the same thing. Like you were saying, Kev, like this job had a lot of overtures linked to a lot of big names. A lot of people were interested in this, and, just the fact that they circle back to Coach Briggs here, shows their trust in him and, shows that he's aligned with the administration here. And again, this is a program, they've had a lot of success. The only reason why their coach is leaving is to go take another job, so it's not a situation where it's a rebuild or anything like that. We're going to plug in somebody that's been successful here, and let's just hope that we can recapture that magic.
Staying in 4A with the other job, and this is a big-time job here. Rick Reitz no longer with the program at Heathwood Hall. He's going to be replaced by an assistant on staff. Another name you guys may remember, Tymier Zimmerman.
Heathwood Hall had a tough year last year, 2-9, had a lot of injuries. Coach Zimmerman has been an assistant and the JV head coach at Heathwood Hall last season. Prior to that, he spent time at PC, Lower Richland, Lexington, and Marlboro County. Jerel and John, obviously, growing up, we all heard about Tymer Zimmerman. His outstanding accomplishments at Marlboro County, state title winner, did big things in college as well, set a lot of records at Newberry. One of the top recruits our state has seen, honestly. Another guy that is going to connect with the kids. Like they're going to be excited to hear from him and listen to him and talk with him. This is a great hire for the Highlanders. I think he's going to do a fantastic job. You could tell from talking to him, Jerel, that he really cared about the kids. Like he wants to make sure that they're successful and they're growing, not just in football, but in life as well. I think this is a home run hire there for Heathwood Hall. Yeah,
and if you want the details of our conversation, circle back to, all of our outlets here on social media and, our website, of course, and go see the interview with Coach Zimmerman. It was a lot of fun, to talk to him because, he spent time away from football, did other things. He's got a really awesome story, specifically it speaks to his time, working at Gucci in Charlotte and the connections he made up there. So it was really great to speak with him. His name still rings on Clemson message boards, because fans, always wanted to see him in the purple and orange there. But, I think this is a great hire for him. It's going to be great for his career. And again, man, he has such a magnetic personality. Those kids, I feel like, are just going to, run through walls for him, and they're going to have a successful season. They got some really, really talented players, some D1 prospects and things like that. So I think this is going to be great. We should expect, some success, year one or him. And I just couldn't get over when we were doing research, Kev, for, that interview, the numbers that he put up when he was at Marlboro County on both sides of the ball was just, astonishing.
Yeah, and I think that 2-9, record is a bit of just an outlier. I mean, it's kind of a blip. Like I don't think that's how it doesn't represent the talent and the players they had last year. I mentioned a lot of injuries. The quarterback Patrick Belt is back. You mentioned D1 prospect Onus Conanbani, a DB there, a big time. I think is he 4-star now? He's getting offers from everybody. He's a big time player. Got a bunch of guys around them that can make some plays. I think they could certainly have a big season. I do want to talk about this. How cool is it? Two of the names we've said this year or so far in this episode played together in high school. Savell Newton and Timers. Yeah. Two Marlboro County guys now getting head coaching jobs. You think back to those teams and how good they were. And look at what Coach Dean Boyd has done, still coaching now at York. I mean, we need to do some research and find out what his coaching tree is, because he's got to have a lot of limbs out there in the state, I would say, by this point now. But he just added 2 more this offseason. Really cool to see there with Tymer and Savell getting head jobs. I think they're both going to do a really good job as well.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. It goes to show, high school football is great. These guys have been all over the place at high levels of football, and here they are back in high school football. It's really cool to see for us as fans covering it, see those kind of names coming back home. We go down to 2A now, where Hilton Head Prep, former coach Dusty Etheridge, going to be replaced by Doug McFadden, who is on staff as the passing game coordinator. He'll step in this year as the head coach.
Passing game coordinator at Colgate, actually, not at Hilton Head Prep. So, yep. Passing game and secondary coach at previous times at Colgate there. This is a nice hire for them. A program that has had some tough times the last couple of years. Coach Etheridge just wasn't quite the right fit there. Couldn't really get it going. They have some weird restrictions down there. Jerel, we talked to Coach Etheridge a couple of years ago. I believe they can't play home games at night because of the sea turtles and the rules in Hilton Head and all this stuff. So it's an interesting job. They're an interesting program. But to bring in a guy like Coach McFadden that's got some experience at a higher level, I believe he also played in the CFL. I remember correctly. I think I can't remember which program it was, one of those. So he's got a lot of big-time football experience. And I think similar to some of these other 1A jobs we talked about, it's about getting the kids to want to play and to get them out there and to have fun. Hilton Head Prep has had a lot of success in some other programs outside of football. They get some of those kids to hop on to put the pads on. They might have a pretty good football team down there as well.
Yeah, and a good situation for Coach Etheridge. I think he landed on his feet, get another coaching job, in the public school system. So good for him because he's a young guy. We were able to catch up with him a couple years ago and just really headed on a good trajectory in his career. And that's a strange job. He jogged my memory talking about the Sea Turtles and them not having lights. They're getting done with games at like 5:00 in the afternoon during the season. So that's crazy. But Coach McFadden, man, that's a good one. Get someone from the college ranks, someone who's got, high level experience playing professional football, to kind of pour in with these kids. Because, as Kevin knows better than me and John, with SCISA ball, you really don't know what you're going to get, and so it's a little bit difficult. And, it's a lot more technical, a lot more coaching, a lot more, skill, because you don't get to rely on, sometimes just pure athleticism and things like that. Especially on Hilton Head Prep. I mean, you gotta think about that. Probably got a great golf team, but it's probably hard to recruit football players. But I think Coach McFadden's the man for the job, and looking forward to see what he can do there.
Yeah, I can't feel sorry for him about the 5:00 games and this and that. You give him they probably gave him the Steve Spurrier speech where, hey, people work their entire lives to come retire at Hilton Head. I'm giving him a speech right now. So great situation for him. We go down to 1A now. Carolina Academy, former coach Al Calcutt, he's going to be replaced by David Rankin, who comes over as former head coach from Robert E. Lee.
Coach Rankin has been in SCISA for a long time, coached a lot of different places, Williamsburg, most recently Robert E. Lee. Won the state title in 2015 and 2022 at Robert E. Lee. Lost last year by 7 in the state title. Had the Cavs going 10-3. This Carolina program is one that has not had a ton of success in the football ranks in SCISA over the years. You mentioned last year going 3-7. I'm really intrigued by this hire. Coach Rankin. I think I read an article that he's like, I just wanted to just have another challenge. Want to try something else. That's how he kind of ended up taking the job over there. So. Really interesting to see what he can do there because, like I said, not a team and not a program that has had a ton of success compared to some other SCISA schools in the area. But I think he's going to do a great job. He's done nothing but win in his time, Coach Rankin, that is. So I think it's a really good hire there for the Bobcats.
I love seeing these SCISA jobs, and I love learning more about SCISA football every year that we do this because it's crazy to see. Like, I just wanted a new challenge, and I'm going to, just stay in the same, classification and go to a program that hasn't had as much success as I've had at the previous one. Like that is so cool to see, and just him being able to impart his knowledge and wisdom, his winning pedigree into a new program. I think it's a slam dunk. Y'all must have different money down there in the SCISA ranks, Kevin, to kind of just lure these guys to these different jobs. But that's really cool for that program, and he's going to be successful.
Yeah, and so staying with Robert E. Lee Academy with the departure of Coach Rankin, Will First from Lawrence Manning steps in as the new head coach at Robert E. Lee.
If you're Robert E. Lee and you got to replace David Rankin, you can't do a much better job than Coach First. You mentioned went 10-3 last year at Lawrence Manning, a big 4A school there in SCISA. Has had a lot of really good success with the Swamp Cats. A guy that, he's a younger coach, younger than Coach Rankin. I think that's going to, maybe play better with those players sometimes, but it's not like that program needed a facelift. They're doing great. I think he'd been at LMA for 2 years, but great hire for them. I think Coach First is a guy that knows how to coach football, knows how to win football games. I expect Robert E. Lee to make a deep run in the playoffs again this season.
Yeah, not much to add there. That's pretty cool to just go from 4A to 1A, open up the pocketbook, obviously new challenge, things like that. And, he's going to be successful. Like it's not like this program needs a facelift or needs a jolt in the arm. They just replaced one great coach with another one.
It's wild what if things like this happen at the collegiate level or, the NFL, we see it kind of go the opposite way, right? Coaches leave these group of 5 schools, go to a Power 5. That'd be insane if Nick Saban said, hey, you know what? It's been great at Alabama. I'm going to go to Nashville and see what I can do at Vanderbilt now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see. Now with our last job of the night, we'll go to 8-man football where Oak Prep, new head coach will be Chad Deal, previously the strength and conditioning coach at Bowling Springs. And I believe this is the same Chad Deal that we saw at the Clemson football program.
Yeah, a nice theme of the night of, former college players and making us feel old. So we've got a lot of that going on tonight. But, an Oak Prep program that has had some success, 4-5 last year, not a bad season at all. Coach Deal, I believe this is his first head coaching job. I don't think he's had a ton of experience at the head coaching level there, if any at all. But, obviously knows, how to relate to these kids. A younger guy who played collegiate football, kids love to see that. This is a really interesting hire. I don't know a ton about 8-man football. I don't follow it too closely. Oak Prep, I don't know how good they normally are, but Coach Deal is a great guy, is a great human being, as well. I think he's going to do a fantastic job there.
Man, before we get into it, man, we have got to get to an 8-man game. I have got to see this played. It's so intriguing to me. We have to figure out a way to get this done. Maybe they play on a Saturday or a Thursday or something where
you can have a lot of points. A lot of points.
Yeah.
A lot of points.
Yeah, we got to get it done. But no, Chad or Coach Deal, as we call him, it's hard to say, Coach Deal, but, because Chad is our age and it's, some personal ties there. His wife and my wife were pretty good friends in college at Clemson. So that's pretty cool to see him get this opportunity. Chad, man, he's a hard worker. Just like you were saying, a super solid, man. And got a great family. I'm glad to see him get this opportunity. A heck of a football player too. I mean, did all the dirty work, played linebacker, played fullback, was on those great, Burns teams under Coach Bentley, so he's used to winning and things like that. And, got his career cut short. He actually was, I think he got a camp invite to go play with the Ravens and, he's a mauler, a masher, and had too many concussions. So he'll be able to let these guys know what it takes to compete at a high level, and excited for that opportunity and excited to see his evolution, in his coaching career there.
Yeah. So guys, let's take a look now at the SCISA ranks. I mean, what do you guys like out of these hires? One thing that I feel like we see more of in SCISA than in the high school league is a lot of these guys don't get fired. They just retire or they leave. So you see some more, I guess high-profile jobs get filled each year. It feels like, you mentioned a Lawrence Manning or a Robert E. Lee, programs that have had as much success as you can have almost at SCISA, get filled. So who do you guys like out of this group here in the SCISA ranks? I'll go. I love the Timer Zimmerman hire. I think that's a big one. That's the Heathwood Hall program that has not had as much success as some of these other SCISA schools, but a guy that has been around a lot of big-time football. We mentioned it earlier, is going to relate to the kids greatly, going to do a fantastic job there. I think that's a team to look out for this year in the 4A ranks. Don't let the record fool you last year. We mentioned a lot of injuries, a lot of kids coming back. I think they're going to be really good this year under Coach Zimmerman. Yeah,
I'm going to go Carolina Academy with Coach Rankin. It seems like it's almost too easy to pick because, hey, the guy's already had tremendous success already. There's not a whole lot changing other than the name on the jerseys, right? I think while Carolina Academy hasn't had the success, here's a guy that can do it. Again, you talk about, hey, if you're Carolina Academy, you can hire anybody. Coach Rankin has to be super high on that list, if not number one.
I mean, the reason why I pause here is because, is there a bad one? Is there one that you look at? Like all these guys have had success, so it's like, I just looking through the list, but obviously Coach Deal being new, that one's a challenge with 8-man. But if you look at the list, I don't think there's a bad one. But I guess if I just have to pick one, Coach First. I mean, going from 4 to 1A there, accepting that challenge, had a very successful season last year, and this is a program in Lee Academy that was great.
Played for the state title last year.
Exactly. So it's like, that's kind of the easy pick. I don't like to normally do that, but that's a great hire, and I think they'll just continue to be successful as they have been.
For sure. Well, I think that wraps up 1A, 2A, and SCISA on our Coach Carousel show, guys. I know that we've had a lot of discussion the last couple of weeks about all these guys, and now we're through it. And, the season's right on the corner. I know we've got our preview shows coming out next week, our full season previews. I think we'll break it into 2 parts there. But, any final thoughts from you guys? The season, it's sitting here. It's a couple weeks away, guys. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think practice officially kicked off today or Monday, I believe.
Yep.
Practice kicked off, so it's good to see the helmets getting back out on the practice fields. I live pretty close to Greenville High School. I saw them cutting in line on the practice field yesterday. So that's cool to see. Football is so close to being back.
Yeah, before we get started, though, I do want to, think about the people. I know we're pre-recording this, and it's not live, but those affected by the tropical storm. We know some programs down there affected by that. Just hope everybody stays safe and things like that as that comes through, and hopefully it doesn't affect, obviously life and everything else is more important than football. But hopefully everyone there doesn't get too affected. But I'm super excited about the season. I know we meet like early in the spring and we start planning out things we got to get done for the summer, and we start running through it as a group. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, it's a couple of months off. It's 3 months off. And then like, I feel like once camp season, like 7-on-7 season starts, it's like, oh yeah, it's getting close, but not really. And then I feel like once we have that dead week, July 4th, like, it just flies by and then it's here. And, it's one of those situations again, guys, it's here. Week 0 is right around the corner, and I couldn't be more excited about, what's going to happen. And so cool for these programs. I love doing the Coaching Carousel show. I don't know how many people actually listen to it, but we enjoy doing it, so it doesn't matter.
It's a good refresher for us too. It's a good for us to remember like who's where and all this stuff. So I think it's good for the show.
But the thing about doing the show, why it's so much fun for me is these schools, you get a new coach, it's like a new opportunity. It's a new lease on life. So, there's a lot of optimism that comes with a lot of this, and very exciting, because even if you're, a program that has had a successful season, a successful program, and you get a new coach, it's because your coach was obviously sought after, or they retired or something like that. And even if you're kind of down in the dumps and you haven't had much success lately, you get that new injection of energy and, hopefulness. So that's why I always have fun doing this. But long story short, man, I'm excited about, what we have coming down the pipeline and getting this 24 season kicked off.
Yeah, we got scrimmages, I think, this week. So, a lot of action, scrimmages, jamborees coming up. And obviously week 0 there on the 23rd is going to be here before we know it for sure. Like I mentioned, next week, tune in to our preview shows. We got a couple other team previews coming out as well. So definitely tune into those, some team specific stuff. So check that out. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram. You can be more at Movin Chains. Website, movingchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our 1A, 2A, and SCISA Coaching Carousel show, and we will talk to you guys soon with our previews for the 2024 season.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.